Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Sarah Smith, and you're listening to Raw Intentions. Yet again, I am currently, if you're watching us on YouTube, taking over my roommate Courtney's room while she's out of town. I love doing this. It's just nice to be in a new space, and I don't have a desk in my room. It's in the hallway of our house. So I feel like I'm like contained, and my ADD allows me to actually get shit done because I'm not distracted by every single person that walks by. Anyways, before we get into this week's episode and this amazing guest, let me give you guys my little elevator pitch just in case this is your first time listening and coming to us on Raw Intentions. So, like I said in the intro, my name is Sarah Smith, Sarah with an H, Smith with a Y. I'm 30 years old and currently living in Breckenridge, Colorado, originally from Madison, Alabama. When I was in college back in 2016, 17, God, aging myself, I started making jewelry out of my college bedroom and I was just incredibly broke. Was making it for myself, for my friends, and what started as just a way to buy more Red Bull vodkas at the bar and sorority t-shirts turned into a full-fledged brand business, everything that is still my full-time job to this day. It's called Raw and Rebellious. It's at raw_rebellious on Instagram. If you don't follow us, definitely check us out. We started with handmade jewelry with necklaces, rings, earrings, all the things, and now we don't do any of that. We do apparel, we do hats, we do shoes, we do collabs, meetups, events, pop-ups, all kinds of things. It's really taken on a life of its own, which is really cool. And that's what's led me to start this podcast. I think my favorite part of having my brand is the community. It's something that I am really passionate about. I get to chat with you guys via DMs every single day, literally with thousands of people and, meet people in real life all the time. And that's why I wanted to start a podcast, Raw Intentions Podcast, literally with the rawest intentions of just creating authentic connection and community and a lifeline to that community that I already get to talk to every single day. I mean, obviously, I love to hear myself talk, or why would I have a podcast if not? So we do solo episodes, and we also do episodes with incredible guests, people that I know in my personal life that I get to call my friends, or people that I admire from afar that I get to slide in their DMs and say, hey, I want to ask you a couple questions. And I use a podcast as an excuse to do that. So that brings us to our very special guest today. Today, we've got Rachel Deeb. She is a longtime friend. I've known her for quite some time back in my Atlanta days when I used to go to Nashville like every other weekend to go out on Broadway. I think we met on a party bus actually for Anna Grace's birthday, which is so funny. It feels like a lifetime ago. And we recorded a podcast together 2 years ago, I think we figured out. This was in between tours. She is a photographer that goes on tour and swore that she was done going on tour. And then, surprise, surprise, the Lumineers, this small band, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, invited her to go on tour with them in Europe. And what are you going to do? Say no? So she said yes. She has been on tour for a while. She's been taking a break. And not only is she an amazing photographer that is so well known in the music space in Nashville and elsewhere, but she is like a woman of a million talents. She's so creative, photographer, videographer, stylist, interior designer, muralist. She also creates custom work with different pieces of clothing through her company, Elektrik Denim. The list goes on, and she is never not doing something, which we were laughing about because we both have that in common. But today we talk about, we catch up. We already did an episode together, like I said, so definitely listen to that one first if you haven't, because it gives you kind of her background and how she got to where she is now. I mean, she's such an impressive individual, so I would absolutely recommend giving it a listen. But then we just catch up and talk about her tour. She was on tour for a while, and we just chat about how that has kind of shaped her in the last year, built her confidence back up with her work, and why she loved working with the Lumineers, and spoiler alert, decided to go on yet another tour that she was sworn off of. We talk about current things she's working on. We both turned 30 in the last year, and so we chat about that and what that means to us, our love for travel, creative projects, a failed tattooing incident, and lots more. So I'll stop talking and get into this episode. Without further ado, let's welcome Rachel Deeb to Raw Intentions podcast.
So what's up?
I know. No, I know. We haven't gone to catch up in so long. And I've been following just from afar and reached out. I think it was like back in September because you
Yeah.
had like so many things going on. And I was just like watching via socials. And I was like, wait, I want to do another like catch up episode because so much has changed, I feel like, since the last time we recorded.
I want to go back and listen to that episode because I feel like it was right before I was going on tour with Lumineers.
It was.
Yeah. And I remember being like unsure to like if I was like allowed to say it or something.
Yeah, no, I remember that. And we talked a lot about, your time in the music industry and like feeling a little burnt out of going on tour and you, I think, said that that was gonna be your last time going on tour because the lifestyle was really tough. So definitely a great listen if you're listening right now and you haven't heard that episode yet, go back and listen. That was like, what, a year, 2 years ago that we
Yeah, that was let's see, I went on tour in 2023. Yeah, so that was, like, right before I mean, that must've been, like, top of the year of
Yeah.
2023. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. So a lot has changed. And yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to do another catch up episode because now I feel like you have even more titles in your toolbox of like who you are and how you represent yourself and like how you get creative and the
Mhm.
clients that you've worked with. And I'm curious too how the tour went and how you're defining yourself now and if you're still sworn off tours and all the things. So maybe before we dive in, you could just go backtrack, give us a little elevator pitch about you, and
Yeah.
then we can talk about all the things.
Okay. So, I'm from California. I, went to school at the University of Alabama. I have a degree in graphic design. Came to Nashville thinking I was gonna be a graphic designer for a ad agency, and now I am full-time to this day, LOL, photographer for the Lumineers. So I go back on tour. Damn it!
Fuck.
I'm, like, laughing because I was like, "Shit."
No, because last time you're like, "I can't I'm this is the last time I'm doing this," and that's another reason why I wanna do another episode because 'cause I'm
I
like,
know.
"Is this actually her last time doing this?"
So and I'm, like, literally gonna be like, "No, this is really the last year I."
Yeah.
But, I worked for a boxing gym and because I actually got a job in graphic design when I moved to Nashville, ended up getting fired, like, 3 months into it, and I remember feeling, "This is the last time that I wanna feel this type of failure," because it felt
Mm,
like self-failure, 'cause I don't know, there's a difference between, like, failing at something, but then feeling like you're failing yourself is, like, yeah, a whole nother ball game of what that feels like, but so my dad had always said after that, like, "Be your own boss and you'll never fail," and I didn't really know what that meant until now, but eventually I worked for Title Boxing Club because, like, in the meantime of trying to think of I was so set on, like, graphic designer, ad agency, because I think that when we're in college, we're so excited to have a title and, like, you're kinda just, like, jumping at the first thing that spikes your interest, so I'm like,
right.
"Ooh, I wanna tell people I'm a graphic designer, that sounds cool." And, even though I honestly hated it, I hated doing graphic design. I'm like, "Fuck that." So, yeah, so I worked for Tidal. Clients from the gym would hire me outside of the gym to shoot stuff for them and content. Because I mean, in Nashville, I feel like everybody needs content. It's like you're either a photographer or you're an artist.
Right.
So, it was kind of easy to develop a community that way. And I feel like I met the right people at the right time, started working for Walker Hayes, and then Bailey Bryan, and then Carly Pierce, and then Maren Morris, sprinkling in, like, like, a few other artists, like Billie Eilish was a really cool one.
Mm.
That was just, like, a one-off. In fact, when I did that show, they asked me to go on tour, and I said no, because I was like I actually didn't even know who Billie was. So stupid. This is one of my biggest regrets.
Oh
I was
my
like
god.
so when I shot her show, it was my first time shooting Bridgestone Arena, and,
When was
this
this?
this was in, I think, probably, like, 2019,
Okay.
maybe even 17. It was when she was opening up for Florence and the Machine. So she was still, like, an opener, and
Oh,
and I remember hearing her sing, and I was like, "Whoa," I, like, wasn't expecting that voice from what she looks like. Like, she has this, like, grunge look, like, I don't know what I
yeah.
was really expecting, but, like, not this, like, angelic voice.
Like ethereal voice from heaven.
Yeah, I was like, "Holy shit." And then she was pretty standoffish, and I remember, like, filming her, and I was like, "Okay, like, do something funny for your recap video," and I asked her, and she turned around and looked me dead in the eyes and goes, "I have something funny for you," and, like, let out, like, this massive burp. Like, this I know, so you're like, not what I was
What?
expecting to say. She, like, burps, but it was literally, like, I swear the ground shook, and I literally just came like uh, okay. I was like, "Okay, girl, like, yeah, get it." Like, I
You're
was
so silly.
sick. And I was like, "What the fuck?" So they, like, asked me to go on tour, and I was like, "No." At the time, I was, like, kinda with Carly Pierce, and Carly and I are, like, such good friends, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna go with Carly." And then I look
Not
back and
broke
I'm like,
girl.
"What a dumb like, not that it was a dumb choice to choose someone over Carly, just, like, in general, saying no to
To
Billie
Billie
Eilish
Eilish.
is insane.
That is
Yeah.
so funny.
So then, yeah, so after that, I feel like I was with Maren Morris for 6 years, and then I think right after that is when we chatted last,
Mhm.
because after that tour, I was like, and I don't know if it's because COVID really, like, messed stuff up, like, mentally in my brain, because after COVID, when I, like, just jumped back into tour again, I started to get bad night terrors on the bus.
Mm.
And, like, kept having, like, visions of, like, the bunks closing in on me, and, like, fell out of my bunk 3 times, which is, like,
Mm.
on the top floor bunk, which is honestly, like, painful. And so I was like, "Okay, I should probably stop touring because I, like, mentally don't think I can do it anymore." And then I got the call with the Lumineers, and I was like, I mean, they're literally my favorite band. So I was like, and it was for Europe. It was, like, 7 weeks in Europe, and then a month in the US, and then a month in South America. And I remember being like, "Okay, like, I can't say no to this, I gotta go." But, and I told the manager, I was like, "I only wanna do the Europe run," which also, before I even agreed to do it, I was so set in stone, I'm not touring. And when they called me, I was like, "I wanna talk to 4 other people on your team to see how the dynamic is," because, like, I just got off of a tour that I've been touring with for years, and it's so difficult to, like, step into a new tour where everyone's been touring for years together.
True.
You're, like, the new person, and they, like,
Yeah.
it's really difficult. So, I talked to, like, 4 of them, and the creative director, his name's Nico. We chatted, and he just, like, automatically seemed like my best friend, and I was like, "Okay, I'll go." And I said, "But I only wanna do the Europe run. Do not even give me the opportunity to do the other months, like, I don't wanna do it. I'm done touring." Like, I literally was like, I told them ahead of time, "I'm done touring, but I'll do the 7 weeks, and then I'm out." And they were like, "Okay, got it." And, like, halfway in the Europe run, I was like, "So,
Hey.
hey, it's me again. Do you, I was like, "Do you guys, have anyone for the next 2 months?" They were like, "You said you didn't wanna do it, so, like, we hired someone for, like, the US run, but we don't have anyone for South America if you wanna do that." Which I thought was really cool because they hadn't even used, like, the 2nd guy yet. He could have been, like, 20 times better than me, but they just, like, trusted and, like, gave me the opportunity to, like, just confirm
Mm.
for South America, which, yeah, so I did South America, which was nice 'cause I had like, a whole summer off, which was cool. It was actually perfect, but, and yeah, and then they hired me over a year in advance for 2025. So, that was cool. So, and I confirmed because I'm a psycho. And this time is, like, I start in April, it's 7 weeks in Europe, 1 month off, 8 weeks in the US, 3 weeks off, another 8 weeks in the US, and then it's 1 month off, and then a month in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. Yeah, that's gonna be really cool. Feel free to
Wow.
come hang out.
Well, I remember okay, I'm pretty sure that when we spoke, it was before the Lumineers tour in Europe because that was when I was in Europe for the summer. Because remember we were gonna try to meet up in, like, Turkey or something?
Yeah. Wait, yeah.
So I feel like it was, like, 2022 when we talked last because I remember us talking about it, and when we got off, I was like, "Wait, I'm gonna be in Europe, like, for the whole summer, like, let's hang out." Because we almost met up, I think in, like, Istanbul or something.
Yeah, I was there. That's so
Yeah.
we're like, "We almost met up in Turkey."
Yeah.
It also, like, says a lot about your life too. No, that's
No,
so
literally.
funny.
Well, so when you say like, "Oh, feel free to come with," I'm like, "No, I actually would."
No, I'm also like, any familiar faces I can get during, like, touring like that is so nice and helpful, but
No, that sounds amazing. So when you say that you have, like, the summer off or that you get, like, a month off in between, are you actually, like, chilling and, like, giving
oh,
yourself that time? That's what I thought.
no,
Okay,
I
so
was
you know
even
no,
saying,
I know. I mean,
you
that's
know me? It's like
why
the
do you think
hard
I asked?
part.
I'm like, "Wait, you said a break. I feel like you're not gonna be taking that break." So how do you handle all that? I mean, that's like a ton of, like, back to back to back on the
Yeah.
road, and then you come back, and then I'm sure you just, like, maybe give yourself a day of a good night's sleep and then get right back into it.
Yeah, the hard part about that is that I'm not on a salary, so it's like those months off, I'm making no money. Like, I still have to figure
Oh,
out how to make money, and it's not like I'm making all this money on tour,
totally.
so it's like, yeah, those months off, I have to kinda get back into it, and that transition is really hard because it's hard to get jobs when everyone thinks that you're gone, And that was like a huge issue. When I got off tour last year, we got off in December, like early December, and then
Mhm.
all December I had no work. All of January, that was like probably the slowest months I've ever had in my life. And it was so stressful because everyone just thought I was gone. And it's like all this hard work that you build, the community that you build here, you just leave it behind. And then, I mean, you get forgotten about. And it's like, I have to like post like every day, like, look at my backyard. AKA, like, I'm
Yeah.
in Nashville doing stuff to
Love
my
being home.
I'm like, haha, home is great. Nashville, Tennessee. Be like, hi, I'm
I'm
back.
back.
Hire me.
That is definitely a fear, though. I mean, I think about that too when I'm feeling really burnt out from social media, and I'm like, "Ah, like, I would love in a perfect world to, like, take a month off Instagram or something." But then I feel like I would come back and people would have already moved on to, like, another brand or another person or something, like, when you don't have that consistency, so I'm sure that's hard
Yeah.
switching back and forth.
It is, and just, like, mentally, it's weird because you go from touring, which is you're surrounded by all these people all the time, every single day. You have a schedule laid out for you. You have to be, here at this time, lunch is at this time, dinner is at this time, and then, like, every single day, you have a schedule. Someone's telling you what to do for 7 weeks, and then they just, like, drop you back off at home, and you're like, "I don't know how to cook for myself." Like,
Yeah.
like, like, "What?" Like, and then you're like, "Okay, now I have to make a schedule," and all my friends have been doing stuff and had weddings that I missed, and
Mm.
I think there's, like, really good therapy, in the music industry that for these reasons, because it's, like, so hard to explain, but I've had so many, like, touring crew people call me and be like, "I just need to go for a walk today, like, are you free?" And I'm like, "Yes." I always say yes because I'm like, "I get it." It's so weird. It's, like, this life that you just left for months, and then you come back to, and then it's, like, I don't really know what this life is anymore, and it takes a while. Like, when I got home from that Lumineers tour, I couldn't sleep at home. I slept at my friend's for 5 days before I had, like, the mental capacity to even sleep in my own bed, which is, like, doesn't really make sense, but yeah, I don't know, I, like, couldn't be by myself. I was like, "I am gonna freak out."
No, I'm sure that's a very real thing. I mean, constantly surrounded by people, by a schedule, by like stimulus, you know? I mean, you're shooting these massive shows, so that's probably really hard to then go back to like the quiet.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't do well in quiet. Yeah, that's crazy, but yeah, the tour itself went really well. We started in Dublin last year, and I remember, like, the first couple days I went home crying. And I wrote a email to the tour director, and I was like I basically wrote this email being like, "I'm gonna be flying home at the end of the week. Like, I can't do this." Because no one knew who I was. The Lumineers, like, they run, like, a really tight ship. Like, I feel like there's a lot of rules that I just wasn't used to. In, like, the country space, it's, like, so relaxed and, like, no rules at all, but, like, Lumineers, which I actually enjoy this about the Lumineers, like, it makes me feel like I have a really important job, and in this, like, weird way, like, so the first day I had black Converse on, but I got in trouble because the soles of the Converse weren't black, and that was, like, never a rule that I had to follow. Like, I would wear all black, but, like, I never was told, like, the soles of the shoes have to be black, so that I got in trouble for that, and then they have uniforms. They just have, like, a uniform, like, collared shirt that they wear each night to kinda, like, represent, like, this is a job, like, you put your uniform on and, like, which is another thing I actually really ended up enjoying, but I didn't know that the first couple days, like, no one gave me my uniform, so I
Mhm.
kept getting in trouble, and I'm like, "I'm wearing all black, like, there's not a single logo on this shirt, like, what is going on?" So the first couple days was hard to adjust, and also, like, no one really knew who I was. They thought I was just, like, a venue photographer. So
Oh.
it took, like, a minute for them to be like, "Oh, you're on our tour."
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of people were new, so I think everyone's just kind of, like, in their own lane, like, not really sure who's gonna be friends with who, and so, yeah, I was so upset, and I remember, like, that first day in Dublin, I went home crying, and I was like, "I'm so fucked. I'm on this tour for 7 weeks. Like, what did I
Mm.
get myself into?" Like,
Yeah.
terrible. I'm freaking out. So I wrote this email and then I also was like, fuck this. Like, I'm going to make a badass video and I'm going to show these people like why I'm here. And I like channeled that. I was like scared and angry and upset and all these emotions. And I put it all into this video and I sent it off. And I was like, I'm going to draft this email for now, but I'm going to like come back to it. And like when I figure out my flights home and like, I was really for sure I was leaving.
Yeah.
And, the next day we were in Germany, and the main guy, his name's Wesley, he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, like, did you make that video that they posted on Instagram last night?" And I was like, "Yes, that was me." I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "That was so sick, like, we're so excited that you're here, like, that was such a cool video. I can't wait to see, like, what else you create, like, we're so happy that you're here." And I like, literally just, like, that sentence, I was like, "Damn it, I'm not leaving."
Yeah, I have chills though. How cool to be recognized like that.
Yeah, it was really cool that he said something because I was just, like, kind of in the corner, like, I didn't know anybody and I
Mhm.
barely even knew them, and it also just, like, shows, like, okay, when you are going through stuff like that to, like, channel that into your work and, like, show people instead of, like, taking it out on everyone, it's like, "No, you're here for a reason, so show these people, like, why you're here," and, like, you kinda
Mm.
have to, like, gain their respect, and I feel like I did that, and after that, it was like the tour director was like, "That video is sick," like, everyone was, like, saying stuff to me, and it was like, "Oh, you're Rachel, right? You're the photographer," and I'm like, "Yes!"
Yes.
I feel like I finally, like, earned my place, and after that, it was, like, one of the most incredible tours I've ever been on. I feel like I definitely fell back in love with touring after that, and I'm really excited to go back out with them in April, so, yeah.
Well, and I feel like walking into that space, like you said, you were with Marin for so long and like you had worked with other artists that you considered friends too. So it's also like walking into a new space where no one knows who you are and you're having to like prove yourself again.
Yeah. And, like, people I feel like, especially the younger generation, I feel like we forget that you kinda have to do that. Like, you can't like, no one owes you anything. So it's like, you can't just, like, walk into something and be like, "What up? Nah." It's like, no, you still have to prove yourself. Like, I get messages all the time from younger photographers who just see the cool stuff I do on Instagram. So
Mm.
I'm like, okay, right before I shot that really cool show that I posted about, I was shooting a red carpet storage unit, like literally a empty storage unit. And I made more money doing that than the fucking show.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but you have to do those jobs and you have to, like, earn your way in order
Mm.
to do the cool stuff, and I feel like people forget about that. You can't just, like, jump in, like, the cool opportunities. It's like you have to do the dirty work, and it's even more rewarding when you do the dirty work and then get recognized and then can do the cool stuff. It's like you earned your way there, so it feels better.
Yeah, well, and I think that plays into any, influencer, content creator, business owner, whatever, like, or artist, people that seem like they're an
Mhm.
overnight success and they're like, I've been playing in empty bars for like 10 years. You guys like just
Yeah.
now found me, and I think
That's
it's the
like
same
Sabrina
thing.
Carpenter. She's like,
Yes,
"I've had 6
yes.
albums," and we're like, "When?"
Yeah. Prove it.
"What? You're, like, 13 years old." "No."
Yeah,
"Prove it,
you're literally a
prove it."
child. But no, I feel like everyone thinks that, and it's such a good reminder because even though, like, we are in the content space and, like, we're constantly on social media, I'm sure you get this sometimes too, where, like, I still fall into the comparison where I'm looking at other people, and if I'm in a negative place, I'll feel negative about myself, and I have to
Mhm.
constantly remind myself, like, this is fake. We're all just putting our best foot
Yeah,
forward, like, and of course we're trying to show up authentically, but still you have to always remind yourself, like, don't compare. And it's the same thing too that, your experience with the Lumineers, it was probably a great reminder, like, hey, I still have to like prove myself in every space. Like I can't just like waltz in here, not that I'm saying you were doing that, but like waltz in here and like expect recognition. Like it
yeah,
was probably a really cool lesson for you and made you better.
yeah. I feel like I always say, like, the Lumineers, like, shaped me up. I'm like, I'll shoot a show and I'm like, "Where's your black soled shoes?" And, like, and I'm, like, tucking my shirt in now to, like, shoot
Uh-huh.
shows and, like yeah, I feel like they challenged me in a way that I probably needed to be challenged because Marin like, shooting with someone for so long, I feel like I just got really comfortable.
Mm,
And with tour, it's easy to become comfortable because, I mean, you're, like, living, sleeping, eating, working all within the same space, and it's, like,
mm.
hard to differentiate, like, this is where I sleep and I eat, and then now the show's starting, and now it's work mode, but, like, it's all in the same space, so it's really tough to, like, get in that mindset of, like, "Okay, time to work today," after, like, not doing anything all day long. Because as a photographer, like, literally my job doesn't start until artist is in show clothes. And so I literally do nothing all day until 7 PM,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, "Oh, time to work till 3 AM." Yay.
Jeez. No, I mean, that schedule is crazy, and I'm sure even just, like, the small thing of putting on a uniform and maybe them treating tour a little more like a business or bringing a little more
Mhm.
corporate into it helped you switch on and off in
And
that
right.
mindset?
Yeah, yeah. I think, like, really that helped a lot, and every time I told would tell, like, another touring person, like, "Yeah, we wear uniforms," they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "I actually love the fact," like, I was like that girl in high school that I was voting to have uniforms at my private school, and everyone was like, "Stop it. Put your hand down."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh." I'm like,
Sorry.
"Why? Cute."
Well, it's also just, like, one less thing you have to think about,
I know. I'm like,
you
"Give me
know?
that plaid skirt."
Yeah.
I'm like, "That's hot." I'm just kidding.
What else do you feel like you learned from your tour in the Lumineers, and why do you feel like coming out of it, you've kinda changed your tune on being out on tours?
So, when I was on tour with Marin, the last thing that she said to me was to stop being so insecure about my work, and I'm sure you also feel this way as a creative, is like, I get so in my head that my stuff isn't good or
Mm,
whatever, and the Lumineers, I feel like, really brought back that confidence because I've never felt, like, so respected by a camp before, and I think, like, that made me feel confident in my job. I feel like with Marin and any other artist, I was, like, so scared that I was gonna lose my job at any minute,
mm,
and now I'm like, "Alright, fire me then, like, do it."
yeah,
I'm like, I don't know, there's, like, a sense of security and confidence that I feel like I now have working with a band as big as the Lumineers because I'm like, if I wasn't good, I wouldn't be here.
yeah,
And I have to, like, remind myself that, and just because of, like, the tight ship that they run and just who they are, I'm like, I just feel like I don't know, like, I feel like because it was so intense and I was there the whole time, and then they asked me a year in advance to, like, come back, I'm like, obviously, I'm doing something right, and yeah, I don't know, I just feel like there was some, like, sense of confidence that I took out of that tour.
mm,
I'm not really sure, like, what steps that it took to get there, but I just remember, like, leaving Marin and being like, "Damn, my boss just told me to stop being insecure about my work." And so if my boss is, like, noticing that I'm not confident in my work, everyone's gonna notice that I'm not confident in my work.
yeah,
And after, like, what I produced on the Lumineers during the Lumineers shows and stuff, I'm like, "Oh, no, fuck yeah, that was sick." And I feel, like, way more confident now. Yeah, I think that and also, I think something that I took from that is, like, no matter how many tours you've been on, no matter how many things that you've done in your life, always, like, lowering your ego and getting space to listen and not being above anybody is really
mm,
important. Obviously, like, I hadn't been on a tour like them and as big as a production as them, but I've been touring for 8 years of my life, but, like, I think a lot of photographers or people in general, like, could take things that they were feedback that they were giving me in the beginning as, like, offensive or whatever, but I feel like I
okay,
really soaked it all in and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna be the best I can be for this tour because, again, I'm here for a reason, and I wanna, like, show them that I'm here for a reason." And I, like, just took that, soaked it in, lowered my ego and my pride, and just, like, produced what I felt was the best for them, and then at the end of the tour, it was, like, the best for both of us,
mm.
and allowed, like, space for like, once I gave space, they gave space, and then trusting developed, and just kinda, like, taking the time to develop those steps versus, like, again, like, expecting it right off the bat, I think.
Yeah, well, and I feel like the ability to even let that ego kind of fall and open
Mhm.
yourself up to that feedback shows how much your confidence has grown in yourself because I think someone that is very insecure with their work might not have been able to handle something like that. And it also sounds like they made you more confident by, like maybe Marion telling you like, "Hey, you need to stop being so insecure." It's like, okay, well, they kind of showed you not to be insecure by like giving you that positive reinforcement of like, no,
Yeah,
like you're crushing in, like, small ways and, like, respecting you in that way, that probably instilled a lot of confidence because maybe in the past, various artists haven't done that or haven't given you any feedback, and you're like, "I have no fucking clue if you like this or
yeah.
not." Like
I'm, like, such, like, a words of affirmation person where I'm
yeah.
like they're like, "Well, we haven't fired you yet, so obviously you're good," and I'm like, "No, that's not enough."
You're
I
like,
was
"But
like,
are
"I
you
need
gonna?"
you to tell me." I'm like, "You're gonna fire me tomorrow, aren't you?"
Yeah.
Like, "I need you to tell me that you like this photo,
No,
please."
that's so valid. And
Yeah.
whenever you're on tour, and I can't remember if we talked about this last time, how intimate is the relationship with, like, the artist or the band? Like, how much time are you spending with them?
I feel like every band is so different, like, when I'm out with Carly and I are together at all times.
Mhm.
When I'm out with Marin, like, sometimes I'd see Marin and we'd go to, like, a brewery on our day off or and stuff like that, but, like or usually, like, she just likes to kinda do her own thing, and then I see her at the show. Lumineers is very separated, like, they kind of do their own thing, and then I'll see them at the show, but, like, yeah, I don't know, every band is so different. I feel like because my job is to solely shoot the artist and the band, it's like that relationship starts developing as, like, a more intimate
Mhm.
relationship because, I mean, photography, I feel like, is intimate, and you have to feel comfortable with me, and I have to feel comfortable with you, so, like, it ends up being closer, which is also, like, so tough. Like, I always say, like, tour photography is so intimate, but there's literally the thinnest line that you cannot cross because it's like, how do I have this intimate job on tour, stopping my life, living for this artist, and not take anything personally, and, like,
Mm.
focus that it's like, this is not personal, this is business, is so tough. That's, like, the hardest part about it all, I think. With Carly, like, we became, like, so, so close, and then she hired another photographer, and I remember, like, being devastated about it, and
Mm.
we recently, like, a year ago, talked about it, finally, and, like and then it's just, like, at the end of the day, it's like, I still love you, you're still my friend, it's just business, and, like, this was the right thing at that time, and I agree with it, and, yeah, it's so hard to not get, like, personal with it, so I don't know. It's like the
No,
thinnest
I'm sure. Well,
like,
and like
I'm
you said,
close
every
to
dynamic is different. So, like, you're having to readjust every time so what do you mean, like, that fine, fine line? Like, can you think of any specific instances where something happened, or is it just, like, kind of overall you're trying to toe the line between creating this, like, very close experience while still being,
yeah.
like, an employee?
It's like the towing the line thing, like, it's just, like, kind of like having in the back of your head that this is a job, you're being paid to be here. At the
Mm.
same time, you wanna be, like, close and buddy buddies with everybody, which you can still be, it's just kind of like, okay, it's I don't know, it's tough because also, like, my brain just shot into, like, so many different ways right now because 'cause I'm like you're also on this, like, 7-week tour. Okay, so when I was going out with the Lumineers, I my boyfriend and I just broke up, like, the day
Mm.
and I'm like, I can't talk about it with anyone because that feels unprofessional, but, yeah, I'm living on this bus for 7 weeks, and no one knows about my personal life, and no one knows that I'm, like, struggling right now, and that's, like,
Mm.
kind of like a towing the line situation, and then so there's, like, that aspect of it, and then the other
Do you
artist
mean even, like, with the crew? Like, you no one really talks about that kinda stuff or just
I feel like you have to really find, like, the person that like, I did have one person on crew that I feel like I could trust, like, with
Mm.
everything, but that was just one mainly one person that, like
Yeah,
and again, we went in, I didn't know a single person, so it's gonna take, like, a minute to develop those relationships while also, like, struggling maybe in your personal life and,
that's
like
hard.
yeah, it's so, like, I don't know, it's weird. So I was doing, like, therapy in, like, Europe at, like, 9 p.m. at night, which was, like, 4 p.m., like, therapy time here, like, I don't
Mhm.
know, in, like, a random bathroom at an arena in Dublin or Germany or whatever. Like,
Wow.
yeah, so that's, like, the mental side of it that's tough, but
Mhm.
going back on, like, the artist thing, it is, like, towing the line because it's, like I think at the end, it's just, like, you can't get too personal because at the end of the day, this is a job, you're being paid to be here. So, it is, like, kind of, like, knowing when to give your artist space, when they want you nearby, when I don't know, it's so, like it's literally, like, you can't even write a book about it. I don't know, it's such I think it's so self-awareness. I'm like, I can't even speak now. You have to have the best self-awareness to be on tour.
Right, well, and, like, the empathy and, like, the understanding of others to, like, read
Yeah,
the room of, like, "Whoa, I'm gonna give this person space because it's probably the opposite of what you'd wanna be is, like, in people's shit in this, like, very
mhm,
confined space. You're, like, handling probably a million dynamics all at once, kind of, like, scanning everything, being like,
right.
"Okay, where do I go? What do I do?"
So many different personalities, and, like, as a
Mhm.
photographer, you're kind of, like, in the middle, like, crew is crew, artist is artist, and you're kinda, like, bouncing from all these, like, friend groups, or,
Yeah.
like, kind of being, like, a shadow, I don't know. It's so weird, and when I'm talking about it out loud, I'm like, "This sucks." I'm like,
Well, but
living
also,
this.
it's like, if you ever went to summer camp and you get, like, camp goggles, like, you kinda forget what the real world is like. I'm sure when you're in it,
Yeah,
it's very different, and when you look back on it, Or it's like if you had like a weird mushroom trip and you're trying to describe it and you're like,
I know
this
that's
sounds really weird when I'm saying this.
I'm like, "This sounds like I have the worst job ever."
Yeah.
I promise it's not.
You're like, "But I swear I like it."
I like it enough to do it for a whole 'nother year, and then
Absolutely.
we'll have this conversation in another year, and
Yes.
I'll let you know, 'cause I'm like, "This really is my last year. Tired."
Maybe we can do another one, like, while you're on tour when I come meet up with you in some random place.
Yes, and then we can film it together. Maybe,
Yeah,
like,
no,
in Norway.
that would be so fun.
That would
Well,
be
and I mean, that's a perk too, and I think you're someone, at least it seems from talking to you, that you do thrive in chaos and you are kind of able to find whatever normalcy you need in wherever you are. So you think about this
Mhm.
opportunity too. I mean, you're probably not going to have the time and energy to do this for the rest of your life. So while we're young and while we have the flexibility, getting to go to all these amazing places and do these things, and I'm sure you've met a ton of people that have
Mhm.
been amazing for your career too, just from this
I
experience.
have a boyfriend in every country now. It's really weird.
You broke up with your one in the States, and then you found one in every single country.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed.
it's sad.
How is dating with having such a job where you're, like, constantly all over the place?
Yeah, it's tough. I always say, like I might have mentioned this last time, but I'm like, I'm single because I tour, and I tour because I'm single,
Mm,
and that is, like, so real.
true.
So, yeah, everyone's like, "Well, you're gonna meet so many people on tour," and I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I met this guy last year in Germany, and we totally hit it off, and then it was like, well, I gotta go to France tomorrow, bye." Like and then when I meet guys, I mean, if when whatever, in Nashville, Tennessee, which is a whole other story.
Ah.
I'm like, "The last time I met a man in Nashville."
You're like, can't
I'm
remember."
like, can't remember. I don't know if it's, like, the most attractive thing for me to be like, "I'm a tour photographer. Oh, by the way, I leave in April for 7 weeks."
Yeah.
I don't know if that if it were me, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, like, yikes."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not dating anyone right now, and which is fine. I, like, feel like this whole year was a good experience of going on dates, working hard, making as much money as I can. Because I actually didn't tour this year. Because Lumineers, they were writing a new album this year. So, they took tour off, I took tour off, and I kinda just, like, bounced around from random weekends on tour for, like, a bunch of artists. And
Cool.
then, I did a lot of traveling, and so this year yeah, and then next year I'll be 31, and then maybe then I can, maybe find a boyfriend.
Well, I mean, it can be, though, the least interesting thing about you. Like, if dating is a priority for you, then that's awesome, and if it's not, I think that's also awesome. Like, I found in most of my life, I've been single, and if I'm not dating anyone, a lot of my friends, especially because 'cause I'm from Alabama, don't even know what to talk to me about because 'cause they're like,
Really?
"Oh, you're not dating anyone? I'm so sorry." I'm like, "You don't have to be sorry, like, I'm not trying to," and they're like,
Yeah. Of
"Oh."
course, Alabama too, they're or like, because 'cause I'm like, everyone got married in college.
Oh, all my friends are pretty much like, I've been like and we've talked about this, like, perpetual bridesmaid, like, I'm always a fucking bridesmaid, and I'm finally coming out of it because pretty much all my friends are already married, and I'm hoping that my friends that are not yet married are just gonna do, like, something different. I'm like, "I can't do another
No, no,
another
no. We're
cookie
over
cutter
that.
bachelorette."
But you're dating now. You have a
I
boyfriend now.
Yes, 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 yes. I have a boyfriend now, and he's, like, absolutely incredible, amazing. We're long distance, which is also kinda nice too, because then I get that, like I still
Where
kinda
does
just
he
get to
live?
do my own thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately in Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, great.
I met him when he was on a ski trip in Vail through mutual friends, so he's from, like, an hour and a half from where I grew up. So we're trying to navigate that of, like, because 'cause I'll be in this house for another year, with
Mm.
our lease, and then we'll probably move somewhere together, but I can't go to Alabama. I mean, I would think I'd spontaneously combust.
Yeah, I now, like, knowing you and knowing, like, the like, girls, I guess, I went to school with in at University of Alabama, I'm like,
Mhm.
so much cooler.
Oh, thank you. I mean, same with you. I went to Auburn, you went to Alabama, and look at us now.
Yeah, thank
But
God.
but no, I feel like I'm still trying to navigate that one aspect of it, but other than that, I mean, it's been amazing in comparison of my past relationships have been so scary, so this one has been very smooth sailing, but I've definitely struggled with that. I just turned 32, not
Okay.
32, 30 also.
Oh, okay,
Um
gotcha.
and 'cause I saw you at a 30th birthday in the
Yeah.
last, like, year, and that was always something that just bothered me, was, like, the emphasis people put on that, and I understand it's, like, a common thing to talk about, and, like, I'll ask my friends who they're dating, but then if they're not dating anyone, like, there's so many cool things that everyone's doing. It's like,
Mhm.
why is this the only thing that's defining me? So I was just curious about, what that was like when you were on tour, because I was the same too when
Yeah.
I travel, like, when I was traveling, when you were traveling as well. I mean, it's always the Australians that I fall in love with. If I was
Oh,
still single, I would probably be moving to Australia. Like, I'm
I
obsessed with Australians.
I keep unfortunately saying that I think my husband is in Australia, which is, like, so expensive to get to, so I'm really upset about it. I'm
They're
like, I
so
will go there to
hot.
find him, but I'm really excited to go there next year, but yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's always the Australians in, like, random countries that I'm like, it's like their energy, it's just so fun.
You know, and their humor, because it's like,
Yes.
well, when you meet them in other like, every time I've met an Australian, it's actually in Nashville, but
Oh,
it's like
funny.
the like-minded people that are, like, traveling like that, like, so it's easy to get along with them because it's like, obviously, you're here from Australia, obviously,
Yeah,
you have some open mind, whatever,
right.
coming here and doing this, and then they're also just hilarious. I'm like,
So funny.
where did you guys all of you, every single Australian I've ever met, so fucking funny.
Mhm.
I'm like, "Okay, what? I guess
They're
we have
so
to go."
funny and, like,
And
unserious
hot.
about everything.
I know. And then they just, like, use the C word like it's nothing,
Yes!
and I'm like, "I love you."
No, it's so great, and I also love, like, I don't know if you've experienced, like, the masculinity of Australian men. Like, there was this guy that I was hooking up with, like, last summer or the summer before, I can't even remember, whenever I was over there, and I ended up traveling for a little bit with him and his friend, and they'd be like, "Can you take a picture of us?" And I would take a picture of them in front of a sunset, and they would just, like, kiss on the lips, but they were, like,
Huh.
so straight, but I was, like, kind of obsessed with that. I'm like, "You guys are so confident in yourselves."
You're
Like,
like,
most
"Can you do
guys,
that one
like
more time?"
yeah, I'm like, "Wait, I wanna say that again."
You're like, "Let me get my phone, my
Yeah,
personal iPhone, one
one
second."
one second. But, because I feel like guys here, like, they'll, like, pat each other on the back and be like, "No homo though, seriously." And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
"What?"
yeah. I'm like, "Make out."
Yeah, I'm like, "Just do it, you know you
Do
want
it.
to."
Yeah, no, that's so true. It's like another confidence. Yeah, I love that.
So, you're turning 31 this year?
No, I turned 30 in August, and then next year is 31, and I only brought that up because I always, like, from the beginning was like, "I'm gonna tour until I'm 30," and then I'm like, and by that I mean 31. But, yeah, I mean, I didn't think I'd be, like, single still at 30, but when I was dating my ex, I actually, like, almost didn't take the Lumineers gig because of him,
Mm.
is so concerning, but, um he was always really supportive, like, we had already developed, like, a foundation, so it was fine if I was touring, when we were together, but I'm, like, always the single one on tour,
Mm.
but if anyone's listening,
And I don't know how big our
like,
male
I'm
audience
doing
is,
that.
but you never know.
I maybe a little sprinkle of someone,
Yeah.
driving to their corporate job, listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
maybe
Um,
normal man, 9 to 5,
that's a tough one.
I can
It
travel to you.
it's a tough one when you start with normal man. I feel like those are those are
I
hard to come
know.
by.
I love a normal man, though, you
I
know?
know. I mean, that's how like, I always thought I wanted, like, a creative or, like, a videographer or, like,
You
a
need that
freelancer.
because they need to do your business with you.
I know, but I think my boyfriend is so, like, mechanical engineer. Like, he's just,
Hot.
like, so normal and, like, grounded
Yeah,
and, like, has posted on Instagram, like, 3 times in his life, and I kinda, like, love that, you know?
I
Because 'Cause I've
love
dated
that.
guys that are very, like, artsy, and then I got stuck, living here that, like, it's more important to do a backflip than a 401k, you
Oh my
know?
god. That
So
is so true.
no, it's like camp goggles except snow globe goggles. Like, when you live in a ski town, it's like,
Yeah,
that's these things are not important. Like, why am I attracted to these, like, trash guys that, like, have nothing going for them, but they look so cool and have a cool outfit when they ski?
that is so true, and I totally I'm, like, trying not to also be in that here.
Yeah.
But that's funny. Yeah, I feel like normal I keep bringing my ex, I'm like, "Oh my god." But he was he was really normal. Um, he's like, "You bring him up."
Yeah, you're like, "Oh my god, what? Should I
Wonder
call
what
him?"
he's doing. I haven't spoken to him in 8 months. Okay. Everyone calm down.
Well, my ex lives in Steamboat, so maybe you'll run into him.
Okay, great. Do I have
But
permission to hook up with him?
yeah, yeah, sure. He can do a backflip, so
He can do if
go
he looks hot when he's in his ski
yeah, go
outfit.
ahead.
That's so
Take him
funny.
for a spin.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
did you feel like 30 was pivotal for you? Was it scary? Because I just turned 30 in September, so I, like, had the whole 30th birthday thing too. Like, I feel like there's so
Yeah.
much pressure on it, and so many people have different feelings towards it. Like, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I feel like honestly, like, I was telling people I was 30 when I was 29 because I think 30 is, like, such a hot age. I think, like,
Totally.
it's like you've seen things, you know what you want. It's like 30, like, you're not in your 20s anymore, like, 30's like, "Alright, let's fucking start my life now."
Mm.
And you just I don't know, there's a sense of confidence in all aspects of my life at 30 now, and yeah, I don't know, I just feel like when you're 30, you just have more like, people respect you more versus, like, I'm 29, you're like, "Ew,
Yeah.
you don't know anything," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm 30 in 3 months."
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'd be like, "I'm 29, but I turn 30 in August."
Yeah.
Is what I'd always and people are like, "Okay."
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think that, like I'm, like, excited. I don't feel like the only, like, pressure side of it is that, like, I'm single. I'm still in this, like, touring thing, and but, like, I own a house. I have great friends. I make money. Like, I'm good in those parts of it. Like, the only thing that's
Yeah.
missing is, like, a significant other, but I feel totally fine. Like, I'm not sad. I think that, like I have friends that are having babies now, and yeah, like, obviously, that crosses my mind, but I don't feel yet about the pressure. Like, maybe in the next few years, I might feel pressure about that side of it, but no, I just feel, like, more confident, respected, and maybe, like, more in tune with myself. Is that, like, how you
Mm.
feel? Like, how do you feel about that?
Totally. I mean, 30 never felt like negative to me. I think the scary part of it was like when someone asked me how old I was after those first few months, and then I would say like, "Oh, I'm 30," because I would forget. But no, I kind of feel the same way. Like 30 is so sexy to me, and it's so funny too. Like I'm sure you get this too. Like if you're with like younger people and you tell them they're 30, especially like a guy,
Oh,
and they're like, "You're
they go,
thirty?"
"You don't look 30." I'm like, "What do you
I'm
mean?"
like, "I'm not 50."
Yeah, I'm like, "What do you mean? I get Botox and, like, I have
Yeah.
this what do you mean I don't look 30?
Yeah.
What does 30 look like?"
That's what I'm saying, like, I feel like it's having such, like, a rebrand, like, because everyone I know in their 30s is just, like, fucking thriving, and yeah, I feel like I know myself so much better, I'm in a place where I'm, like, making decisions for myself and being selfish versus being controlled by other people's opinions, and I'm able to, like, let go of a lot of that stuff, and I just feel like more of a woman, like I'm being taken more seriously, like you said.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also feel like part of it is, like, I started the photography thing when I was, like, in my early 20s, so there is this, like, bit of, like, a scare that, like, I'm on my way out of being, like, a cool photographer. 'Cause there's
Really?
yeah, like, I look at the girl I manage another smaller photographer, she's, like, 6 years younger, and she says things, and I'm like, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, she goes, "It's like, everyone says it, it's equivalent to this word," and I'm like, "I've never heard that word in my life." And then I feel so uncool, then I'm
So
like
old.
I feel old, and I'm like, "Oh, no." Because it's kinda like as a country artist or any artist, like, you have this time period to blow up, and then all of a sudden you're too old. You know what I mean? Like
Wow.
Keith Urban's, like, always a legend. He's older, obviously, but, like, I feel like you have this space between, like, 20s to 30s, and then after, like, 38, if you haven't blown up yet, you're kind of like,
It's too
"Well,
late.
too late," yeah. So I feel like that sometimes where it's like, I have this time period that people are hiring me to, like, make their brand cool or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm gonna be, like, too old, and I'm gonna be irrelevant, and then I saw this thing that was, like, 30-year-olds or, like, oh my god, millennials, right? Yeah,
Yeah, millennials.
okay. Posting on Instagram, and it's like, say I post I'm in, Steamboat, I'll, like, literally do, like, the location, Steamboat, tag, like, something, and then do, like, the music behind it and, like, the whole fucking thing, and, like, that's apparently not cool.
That I'm like, "Wait, I do that."
No, I don't, and I guess, like, Gen Z, like, that's not cool, like, you're just supposed to just, like, take the photo and, like, no one is supposed to know that you're in Steamboat and have a background
Oh,
song.
what?
Yeah, and it was like it literally did the generations of, like, what our
How
parents
they pose.
how the like, our parents are, like, a little bit older than us, would post, and it's, like, the full on, like, GIFs and, like, text and all this shit all over the Insta story, and then we are, like, location, music, and, like, some other tag, and then, like, Gen Z's, like, minimal, like, one little thing and, like, super small in the corner, and I'm like, "Oh," and then I'm like, "In my not cool?"
Yeah. Wait, no, I'm this is a wake-up call for me too, because I
I
literally
know.
did the same thing.
Don't put the song.
Why'd you ruin my day?
No,
I
literally, I
love the
gotta
song
find it.
feature.
I love the song feature, I want and my friends, like, do not put a song behind a photo that you're posting. And I'm like, but if I'm posting like a photo of like an artist, then I'll play the artist's song, like, and you can like swipe through and have like background music.
Yeah.
They're like, no, no one wants to listen to that. And I'm like, oh,
I
okay.
kinda do. I kinda like it.
I like
Like
it.
like,
I'm
if
like,
if
"Oh,
you did that, I would enjoy it. I would turn that music up.
okay, thank you."
You're welcome. I'll validate us, don't worry.
Okay, thanks. I was
Yeah.
literally like, great. I didn't realize that I'm not cool anymore, but go ahead.
It is scary. I mean, social media definitely ages not you, like, people. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
things just move so quickly. Like, I'm currently in the market of hiring some help for social media just because 'cause I'm feeling so burnt out on Instagram, like, for my business, and I wanna bring some, like, fresh, young, like, bolder kids or something in there.
yeah.
But no, I definitely agree with that, and you were saying you only have a finite amount of time to blow up. Do you feel like, how satisfied do you feel with your career thus far? Like, do you feel like you've had that, like, blow up that you want, or are you still chasing something like that?
I feel like everyone will always be chasing something. Like, I feel like I'm very proud of myself of how far I've gotten and never thought I'd be here now. But I mean, there's always like, if you don't have that chase, it's kind of like, it's just like the work ethic, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud. I'm happy to be here and all that. But I'm like, I could have a bigger house. I could have a
You
house
could
with like
change your
less plumbing
walls.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This wall doesn't need to be dark blue, it needs to
Yeah.
be I'm like, I wanna mud the whole house, I don't know. I need to change, I need to get out of here.
But you wear so many different hats, and I mean, since we talked too, I totally forgot about this, you have a podcast as well.
Yeah, I
You
know you
started that.
inspired me.
Oh my god, I love it. Yeah, so how did you get into that? And then you're still
Yeah.
doing the murals, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
I'm
just saw
actually
you posted
doing
about, like, some golden goose you were,
oh, yeah,
electric deniming last night.
electric denim.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, so, yeah, my this company called One Country reached out to my friend Marissa, and Marissa and I went to school together, and we were in the same sorority, and she's, like, complete opposite of me. She's, like, very, like has a list going on in her head at all times and, like, checks things off and very, like, straightforward, and I'm
Mhm.
kind of, like, wishy-washy, like, all over the place. So, they told her that they wanted to do a podcast about women in the music industry and want more, like I don't feel like there's a lot of podcasts like that are like specifically for women in the music industry.
Mm.
And so she was like, "Well, I don't want to do that alone." So she thought of me, asked me to do it. So yeah, we did 10 episodes. We signed on with them for 10 episodes one season just to kind of like see how it went. And it ended up going really well and it was so much fun. So we signed on with another season with them that we're going to be filming in January. So I'm so excited.
Exciting. So, are you recording podcasts, like, throughout those months, or do you record, like, all of them in January and then they are put out?
All of them in January. We do, like, 3 3 a day, and we have, like, some guests and stuff on there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we, like, batch record basically and then release it all, which is tough because it's hard to talk about relevant things when it's not gonna be released for, like, another month.
Right. You have to
That's,
kinda
like
keep it, like, more, like,
yeah, like,
general, I
more
guess.
generic and whatever, yeah. Yeah, that's been fun, and then still doing murals, I'm doing a mural tomorrow for Carly in her guest room, so we're doing that, and then, yeah, still doing custom shoes and things like that. The shoes that you saw I posted about was for this, like, cyber girl, like, I think it's, like, a girl that streams. This is, like, a whole other world that I don't know about, but, like, like, the live streaming of
Yes.
I
I
don't
I know
even know
nothing
about
about
it.
it, but I know that it's a
I
thing.
know nothing about it. She has, like, 2,000,000 followers, and she, like, really likes Hello Kitty, so yeah.
That's fun.
So we did, like, golden goose shoes that had, like, all these characters from, like, Hello Kitty and things that I don't know a lot about, but it was cute.
I love
Yeah,
that.
still doing all that.
And
Yeah.
then you're still doing photography, and also, I think when we talked last, you had, like, just started trying to do tattooing.
Oh, okay, so recently, like, a couple months ago, I was, like, talking to this guy, and my tattoo artist was in town, so we were doing tattoos in my basement, and I invited this guy over because I, like, thought he was really cute, and convinced him to let me tattoo him, and it was so bad. I, like, totally fucked up the tattoo, and I literally would never want a tattoo again, and also he literally never spoke to me again.
Wait, okay, like, what happened? Like, what was the tattoo?
What was it? It was like a word. I can't remember. It was like something cowboy. I can't even remember. It was so bad. I like basically like it was something cowboy, but there was an A and a T in the word, and the T like should have been like this, but the bottom of the T was like this. Like, I went back over it to make it darker, and I made another line. And then I did the same thing with the A. The A was like this, but then there was, like, another line over here.
What did he say?
I was, like, trying to be all, like, swaggy and flirty prior, and I was like, "Yeah, you're gonna let me tattoo you." He was like, "It's fine." He was also, like, really picky about his tattoos and was like, "Every tattoo on my body has a purpose and this and this and this," and I was like, "We can just say a cute girl in her basement did this one."
What did he
So
say?
stupid. He
Like, was he chill about it in person, or was he like, "Fuck
You
you"?
could tell that he was, like, panicked, and I had to, like, get my tattoo artist who was here. I was like, "Please go downstairs and, like, fix this tattoo," and he, like, was giving me such a hard time about it, like, he wasn't gonna do it, and he was like, "This is your lesson, like, you can't just, like, whip out the gun on everyone, like, you're not a tattoo artist, like, stop thinking that you are," and he gave me, like, a whole speech, and I was, like, panicked. I was like, "Can you give me this speech later? Like, go downstairs in the basement and, like, fix this guy's tattoo, I'm freaking out," and then he finally did, but, like, I mean, how do you fix a line that's like this?
Ah,
So,
that sounds like a, like, nightmare. That's so
I
scary.
was like, "Okay, this is terrible," but,
Mhm. So
yeah,
maybe we're taking a break?
I never spoke to him again. Yeah, I think I'm good on the tattoos. I think it was a fun run.
Well, if you bring your tattoo gun to Steamboat, maybe I'll set that one out.
Okay, yeah, I think you probably should. I
Especially
would
if there's
actually
A's or
I'd like to
T's.
stay your friend, so I'm just
Yeah, yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah. Mhm,
suggest
I agree. Mhm,
yeah, I'm not gonna try to get on your bad
I
side.
agree. Have there been any other creative projects or anything that you're adding to your repertoire? Like
Um
tattooing or things you're trying to learn?
No, not right now. I feel like it's been so busy that I did, like, dabble in, like, interior design. I,
Mm.
like, interior designed a hair salon, that was really cool,
Oh,
with
cool.
my friend. Yeah, that was fun, but I don't, like, I really have time for another venture.
Yeah.
So, maybe another time.
And are you enjoying your time off tour?
Yes, it's been really nice, even though I've just been, like, working just as much and gone, I feel like, just as much, but
Mhm.
just having the freedom to, like, book those snowboard trips and
Yeah.
stuff like that has been good, and whatever I did this year, I wish I could do every year, which was just kind of like, again, like bopping in and out of tours and working here and stuff like that, so hopefully I can get back into this in 2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think just traveling for yourself is probably really refreshing. Like,
Mhm.
that's kinda how I get with I mean, totally different, but my tour of weddings is then I get kinda burnt out on travel for a second, and I realize that everything that I'm doing, even if I do make a vacation out of it, I'm, like, planning vacations because I have a wedding in this place, and then I try to go somewhere
Yeah.
else. So then when I get to just travel for no other reason than for me,
Yeah.
it's so refreshing, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I forgot how much I love this."
Yeah. That's so true. I'm really excited to do that when we go
Mhm.
to Steamboat, but yeah, that's so true. That's, like, what I was saying, like, I have a wedding in Denver, so I'm going to Telluride, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, "Hmm, how else are we gonna bop around?" But it's
And you've got a photo shoot today, right?
yes, I was photo shoot in 20 minutes.
What are you shooting?
It's my friend Casey. She has, like, a last minute idea for her single. She wants to, like, hold a newspaper and light the newspaper on fire. So I gotta figure out how we're gonna do that and not burn my house down. So TBD.
And you're
Yeah.
focusing on more photo than video now, or do you do a little bit of both?
Yeah, I've been focusing more on photo, but I recently just directed a few videos for Ryan Hurd. One comes out, I think, in January. So I'll definitely do, like, that kinda stuff, like music video direction, but
Mhm.
if I have to do, like, a video of, like, a show, I'll do a video of the show, but preferably photo. I actually just did a big photo shoot for Big Time Rush. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's so random.
It's from forever ago. Wasn't that a show?
Yeah, it was a show. It was like the Hannah Montana, like, boy version of
Yes,
Hannah
yes,
Montana.
yes.
Yeah, so random, but that was hilarious because they were so boy band. It was like we were taking photos and they were, like, reaching to the camera like this and, like, doing things. I was like, "I love you guys."
Like, you're on the ground and they're over you, like,
Yeah,
doing
they're
that.
like
That
and
is
they're
so
like
funny.
and they're just, like, doing, like and I'm
What a
like,
throwback.
"I love you guys. I don't know what's going on right now, but I love it."
That's
And
amazing.
they're all, like, 35 now, and I'm like, "Hot." They're back.
35 is the new 25, let's go.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I love it.
So
Well, when
cute.
you come to Steamboat, I'm gonna make you switch roles, and I'm gonna make you be a model for me for
Okay,
Rebellious
I
Ski
would
Club.
love that. I would love
Yeah.
that. I need to get, I was told Haley, I was like, we need to partner with you and like do like a
We
custom.
should do custom merch.
I would die. That would be
Yes.
so sick. Yeah.
Yes.
Got
No, let's definitely talk about that. Well, I'm so glad we got to do this. You've been
that.
so busy and you texted me a couple days ago and you were like, "Hey, I actually have a free few couple days," and I'm so happy you followed up because I've been dying to do
Yeah,
a little part 2.
I know. I literally that was fun. I was like, I'm 3 months late from texting you, but I'm free in 2 days.
But I won't take any more of your time. I know you have a photo shoot that hopefully doesn't set your house on fire.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
before
Like, I
you
made the joke
leave
about that earlier, and I'm like,
yeah,
"Wait, what? Shit." I
she made a joke and you're like, "No, wait, but don't do that."
was like, "Wait, I was kidding."
But before I let you go, I'd love for you to leave your handles just so everyone can find you and keep up with you and all your travels and projects and upcoming tour.
Yeah, okay, so it's at RK Deeb, Deeb, and then my art stuff is at Elektrik Denim, electric with K's, and I will be starting tour technically January 2nd, but the big tour is April 14th, I think I leave, so it'll be my whole Instagram will be dedicated to the Lumineers.
You'll be
Yay.
a Lumineer fan page.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. As
Thank
always,
you.
my DMs are always open. I feel like you're the same way. If anyone wants to, talk about anything that they heard on the episode or have any questions, I always love hearing from people. And you seem like you get a lot of people reaching out to you all the time as well. But thank you so much for coming on, taking the time,
Thank
and to
you.
everyone for listening.
Yay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, and that is a wrap on this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Follow Rachel. If you haven't listened to that other episode we were referring to, go listen to it. It is so good. She's such a gem. Follow along. She's always doing something cool, photographing someone cool. She is so humble. Like, she literally fucking crushes it. So appreciate you guys being here. If this is your first time listening, I hope you stick around. We drop new episodes every single Thursday, anywhere you get your podcasts. Like I said at the beginning, you can follow us at Raw Intentions Podcast on Instagram, TikTok. We're on YouTube now. You can catch us pretty much everywhere. We're unavoidable. If you like what you heard and you'd like to leave us a little rating or review, I would be so appreciative as we continue to grow. And that's all I have for you guys this week. So thank you so much. Happy Thursday. And I will chat with y'all very soon. See ya.